It's a sports after-party podcast, and we have
Andy Onyeama-Christie.
Chief all day. Young EJ.
Don't start that nonsense, man.
Well, hold on. So, I mean, we before we started, we were just talking about sort of obviously the Nigerian side of your heritage. Obviously, half Nigerian, half Scottish,
British.
Let's say British.
We're claiming Scotland for the
half Nigeria. Listen, there's a bit of Danish in there. There's a bit of I'm a fruit salad. Some
concoction. Okay,
exactly. Okay.
Obviously, you added the hyphen to your surname this year. Let's talk a little bit about. Firstly, you getting to know your Nigerian side, getting close to that journey that was like.
Yeah, so that's always been there. Like growing up, I'd say I don't know what a typical mixed race household was like, but mine was, I guess, culturally was that. I went to private schools and I'd go there and we'd have bangers and mash, and then I'd come home and eat jollof rice. So, I think compared to a lot of my friends growing up, it was probably very different. So like my Nigerian side's always been there. I think this year it just came about. I'd had a conversation and I kind of recognised there was no reason my name wasn't Onyeama-Christie. It disappeared through having names on the back of our shirts as kids, them not being able to fit the whole name on it, having to trim it down. So I was like, Andy Christie is fine. Like, have Christie, that's fine. Then you kind of go through academies and then you're just known as Andy Christie, and that kind of was how it grew. And I got to this point where I was like, I'm 25, I'm a grown man, like I'm an established player. Yeah. I'm not that kid in the academy anymore that can't tell them like, this is actually my name. So it wasn't like anything. I think people, because I guess it's happened in football and stuff, and people have like made things of, he's not taking his name, or like someone has their first name on the back, and it's kind of a thing. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It wasn't anything like that for me. It was just, it just kind of coincidentally had happened, and then I'd never really bothered enough to change it back. It wasn't really something that was at the forefront of my mind. But I think as you kind of, certainly for me, as I've grown, I've played in bigger games, I've been a more established rugby player, I realised actually how important it is and how much I do want to represent that side of my identity.
Kind of adding to that, so obviously being Nigerian as well and knowing how African men are, so was it a problem, I guess, for your dad's side of the family that it wasn't on the back of your jersey?
No, my dad doesn't concern himself with that. He's not. He wasn't too bothered. Like, my dad's super proud of me. Yeah. And again, like my name, my parents are married, so my name's always been Onyeama-Christie. And he's not too concerned. I think my grandma only watched her first game of rugby in like the last few months or last year or whatever, and she hated it. And my auntie, again, my dad's sister, can't watch it. And I'm glad they haven't been watching me play in the last couple of years, because there's been a lot of hurt. So
and we'll come on to those. Sure.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about, you're a Harrow boy from Bristol as well. Tell us a little bit about that. What it was like growing up in Bristol, coming down to Harrow, enjoying London life.
Yeah, Bristol. I love Bristol. My mum still lives there. It's kind of that's my city. I got the opportunity to go to Harrow, which again was life-changing for me. I wouldn't be here if I hadn't done that. I was in Bristol Academy. They didn't particularly rate me at the time, playing prop.
Playing prop,
yeah. Even in Saracens Junior Academy, I played
fat
prop.
Kid?
Yeah,
Loose or tight?
Both, bro. I played both sides. Yeah, I know. A rare breed. Yeah. I'll be making a lot more money if I can still do that. Trust me. So I got the opportunity to go to Harrow, and honestly, I'm so happy I did that. And obviously, then the progression into Saracens.
Awesome. So what age did you go to Harrow?
So I went at 16. So lower 6. So only did 2 years there.
Nice.
And what was Harrow like? Because I've spoken to people who have gone into the Harrow system, and they've just said it's like been incredible for their development as rugby players. Yeah,
it's just like I felt like I was a bit of a big fish in a small pond at my old school, and that's not to be disrespectful to that school. Like, Bristol Grammar School is an amazing school, and it did everything possible for me. But I think at kind of such a crucial age in terms of developing as a person, and certainly as a rugby player, to change my environment and to kind of challenge myself with people and against people who were doing things at a high level in all aspects of life, really. Like it really helped me, I think, change as a person, mature, grow up, boarding, being away from home. I was at a school that I'd been at since I was like 8, 9, 10. And yeah, you kind of learn how teachers tick, you learn what you can get away with. And I got to a point where like I wouldn't do homework and be like, oh no, I left it at home, and I just got away with everything. And then I went to this school that you don't have that excuse, you're kind of on your own, and yeah, they don't allow a lot of things. So really, in terms of like rugby side as well, having Saracens coaches coming in to the school to come and train a select few of us was great for me too. And yeah, I found my friendship group. We got real tight, and 3 guys that were my best friends at school, Sean, Ruben and Elliot, we all got contracts together at Sarries. So yeah, we definitely helped push each other on as well.
And would you say was the team strong team when you joined?
Yeah, in my upper 6th year, we only lost 1 game by 1 point to Wellington College, which was, it still kind of keeps me up at night a little bit.
Does Harrow participate in the Daily World Cup?
Yeah, I think they won it last year, I think.
Wait, so you guys won it when you guys were there?
Nah, we didn't. It wasn't really a thing then. It was more like a ranking. So we ended up being like 3rd ranked. Okay. In the country behind Wellington, I think maybe Sedbergh or something. But we were good.
Do you remember where we finished the World Cup that year?
We got knocked out, quarters?
Top 16, I think it was.
That's not bad.
And they cheated. It's not about us. They cheated. It was a Northampton boys' school. And they cheated because we played away at their ground. Yeah. And they said someone stepped out of bounds or stepped out of touch.
They had their own touch judges.
Yeah, bro, horrible.
Yeah, that's
Jeremy was crying. He's crying.
Bro, listen, I cried when we lost words to Bro, when we lost to Wales, we lost in the final of Roslyn Park as well. Yeah, which again we had no right to lose that. We because they do the replay at Twickenham, and we won 38-0. So on the day we just didn't get it done, man. But
also, you're one of 3 brothers as well, right?
Yeah.
How was that growing up?
It's good, like super competitive. Well, not anymore. They don't play anymore. But it was super competitive. We used to have a tally, me and my older brother, in the kitchen of like who had scored the most tries for the season. Okay. Because we were both playing like Saturday, Sunday, so we played school, then club, and like county and whatever. And I remember my last game of the season, we were both like tied on like 52 tries for the season. And I remember at half time, my school coach coming up to me like, "Your brother's just scored for the first team."
That's
I was like,
mad.
And like he hadn't. The guy was he was trying to like spur me on. He's like, he's trying to get in my head. And I actually didn't score that game, and I like literally finished. And we won, and I was like devastated, thinking like, "Oh man, I've lost him." And then it turned out he hadn't either, and we just ended up level. But yeah, we were really competitive. We used to play all sports in the garden. We'd play full contact rugby, me and my younger brother against my older brother. I remember my older brother and me once doing the 30 1-on-1s run it straights consecutively. Yeah, I didn't tackle him.
Break that down. What is that?
All right, so we stand either end of the garden and like run at each other. And so like he's trying to score past me, I'm trying to score past him. And so we did 30, took it in turns. And he scored 30 out of 30. I didn't tackle him once, but I scored 3 out of 30, and I was gassed. Yeah, bro. Honestly, I was like, I walked in like head held high, like, and he was like a bit gutted with himself.
So what age did you feel like? Who wins in a fight now between you and your brother?
I'll box him.
You box him. So what age? So who's tall? Okay,
I'll box them both at the same time. I'll box you both at the same time.
Who's taller? Are you the tallest?
No, my youngest brother's the tallest.
Okay, cool.
And my oldest brother's the shortest and stockiest.
So at what age did you saw your older brother, like you're like, listen, don't try it with me. You get this work, don't try it. What age did that happen?
I don't know, because like we developed, like when I was young, I hated him. Like I feel like that's quite common with
I did my brother.
But then like we'd fight a lot, and I was probably a pain in the ass. Like he hated me, but I think when I went to Harrow when he went to uni, and so I think around then like we kind of started to become boys. I don't know, because he could probably bench more than me. But I think probably when I was around 20, I'd be like, right, once I played like Prem, I'd probably be like, yeah, you know what? I've dealt with people bigger than you. Yeah, so probably about then. Like when I started playing like professional rugby, I'd be like, yeah, I've dealt with people bigger than you. Like
Yeah. What other sports were you playing at school?
I was actually I was a really good hockey player.
Oh,
weirdly, yeah.
You're a posh boy.
I didn't want to say it, but
oh no, do you know it's
started Bristol.
Yeah. So me and my older brother, like we're both goalkeepers, and he was in the first team, and I became the first team goalkeeper in year 10. So I took his spot off him.
Mad.
And he was kind of happy about it. Neither one of us really wanted to play hockey. We were just quite good. Yeah. And we're both quite big and, big and dynamic, which I guess is good for a goalkeeper. But I never particularly liked the sport. It was kind of just pushed on me because the school played it. I was all right at football. I was quite good at cricket. We just played everything. Mum just wanted to get us out of the house as much as possible. So, and we have the playing fields were from the school are just down the road from my house. So yeah, any kind of activity would be on it.
Yeah. And obviously you said your mum wanted to get you out of your house. What role did your dad play in the whole, you growing up?
Well, again, he was super sporty. So he played rugby, played for London Nigerians. So he was both of them were equally were, his influence is more through the fact that he did it. And we used to play football with him on Tuesday nights. So I remember I have great memories. We'd go to a 5-a-side or 7-a-side and play with him and a few guys from kind of around the way. From a young age would be doing that.
So did he ever put any pressure on you to play rugby at all?
No, neither one of my parents ever pressured us. Okay. And honestly, I think I find how often that occurs with people that make it professionally. They're like, oh yeah, my parents just let me find a love for it myself. Because I know kids that I grew up with whose parents were so pushy, being the coach's ears for academy stuff, would be on to them to do extra fitness at 14 years old. And by the time they hit 16, 17, they're burnt out and they don't want to play anymore. And they find parties and they find girls and they find drinking and then that's it.
I feel I even look back to when we were at school, and particular dads I remember who were just on the sidelines screaming.
Yeah.
Their sons trying to get them to just master rugby at the age of 12.
Get me.
I'm my parents literally didn't care at all whether Maro played or I played.
As long as just come back safe.
Yeah.
No injuries,
But they're trying to live through. Honestly, I feel they're trying to live through their kids. Yeah. And they're trying to get their kids to achieve a dream that they didn't achieve. And even with I talk to guys that I play with now, and I'm like, oh, would you make your kids play rugby? Or even the ones with kids, are you going to make them play rugby? No. Once you've played and you've been through some shit, and once you've hurt yourself a few times, hey, I'm not making anyone do that.
Yeah,
but it's a hard way to make a living.
It is, bro.
I remember I went to I did that Portugal camp with
the campus
and Rotti at the campus. And Aston Villa were there at the same time actually, and Vincent Kompany was manager at the time. And the work that Under Armour was putting these guys through.
Burnley Football Club.
But sorry, Burnley, not Villa. Burnley. Bro, doing that every day over the summer to get ready and then add contacts to that. No, that's a hard way to make.
But that was an off-season camp.
Off-season.
So you're doing that. They're doing that to be ready for pre-season, to be ready for the season.
Right.
That's the most chill environment you can be in is off-season camp.
There you go.
Yeah.
I still thought.
You see what I'm saying?
It's nuts.
My younger brother was a good rugby player and London Irish. He was in London Irish Academy, and so they spoke to him about kind of contracts and would it be something he'd be interested in? And he was like, no. It was like, I don't want to do the fitness and I don't want to do the early mornings. And he told me that, and I was like, to be honest, if there's 2 reasons to not play rugby, besides injuries, like early mornings of fitness, I get it.
Yeah.
He went to uni instead, and I was like, yeah, because he'd see me in the senior academy, waking up at 10 to 7 to be in the gym for 7:45, doing fitness every Monday. After sessions, you've got Tuesday nights, Thursday nights, you're going to a loan club, and I was at Bishop Stortford, and things like that, and like great clubs and stuff. But yeah, it's not what you envisage as a 7-year-old, 8-year-old, 9-year-old saying like, I want to be a rugby player. You're not thinking of waking up early, doing fitness, going on loan, you know, in the terrible weather when you can't really be bothered. That's not what you're thinking about. You're thinking about like, I want to play international rugby, I want to play Premiership rugby. But like, that's not the reality for a while.
Yeah. And also, did you stay at the clubhouse, or what was it called when they have the younger like guys in the academy?
Oh, the Manor. Yeah, I lived in the Manor. Yeah.
Well, I remember once I went there and I saw Maro, and like it was just like the kitchen was a mess.
That was St Albans.
St Albans. Yeah. No, it was Hatfield.
He lived. Yeah, that might be the banger. Yeah, the banger. There's a bungalow. They call it the bungalow. The banger.
Yeah. I was like, well, this is a struggle. Man.
Yeah, bro. The Manor. So when I moved in, obviously, like parents to like take us all, help us move in and stuff. So it's an eight person house. And when I moved in, our academy manager had changed over that summer. And the last thing the club had done was won the Premiership, I think, or won Europe. So they'd had like the end of season and boys had been out on the piss, and those boys had all come back and trashed the house. The academy manager had changed, so he hadn't seen the house until the day we moved in with our parents. And like the look on our mum's faces when they're like moving us into this house with like the fridge is on the floor, there's like raw eggs, like cracked eggs on the walls and stuff like that, and they're like, wait, you're living in this. So yeah, that place is nuts. But like, I've got so many good memories of that place, man. Like it was like uni lifestyle, but it wasn't. But like, yeah, we were on loan, going out, you know, being 18-year-olds, and honestly, I'm so grateful for that time, because you get what you need to out of your system so that you can like actually lock in and be a professional athlete.
Which 7 other boys were you staying with?
So I had Elliot Batayimbo, I had Ali Crosdale, who's in France now. I had Sean Raffel, Ruben. Yeah, there was 8 of us.
Are they all still playing?
Not all of them, but for the most part, yeah. Guys are still playing somewhere or other. I'm the only one still at Sarries that I lived with in the first year at least. Yeah.
So taking a step back now, how did you get into Sarries? Like, what was the? Yeah, did you randomly get called up like you're always saying?
No, so it was a funny one really. So like I said, like I was in Bristol Academy when I lived in Bristol, and I didn't actually want to leave Bristol Academy, so. I emailed their former academy manager and said, "Oh, look, I'm going to go to Harrow. I've accepted the scholarship. You know, I'm happy to stay with the academy. Like, we can discuss how it's going to work." And he was quite blunt, and I never liked him, to be honest. And he just went like, "I know it's been a tough decision. Good luck." Instead of being like, "Oh, come in, we can talk about it, or we can figure out how it can work," he just made the decision for me. And Jesse Coulson, who got me to Harrow, the director of rugby at the time, he said like, "Don't worry about academy stuff. I'll get you in Sarries." And so like I got to Harrow, and he was like, "Yeah, I've spoken to Sarries. Like you're good to go." So I was like, "Yeah," I was like, "Sweet." Wow. So like fully, Sarries had never seen me, knew nothing really about me, brought me in the academy. Like I said, I was a prop at the time.
You were still a prop then?
Yeah, I was still playing prop. So at that time, I was aspiring to be a back row, playing second row at school and playing prop at Sarries. So then it was like the summer after my lower sixth, going to upper sixth, I was like, right, it's time I just take the decision out of anyone's hands. I was like, I'm going to get fit. I'm going to get in better shape.
Mad.
Bro, I was scrumming against guys who are like propping in the Premiership now. And I was like 97 kilos maybe, and those guys like 125, some of them was like.
Did you ever scrum against B?
Nah, he is too old, but I scrummed against Aaron Painter, who's
a big boy
playing the Prem now, and like he's big in the Prem.
Yeah.
And yeah, he'd have been big at the time. I remember scrumming against him and being like, "Oh my God, like get this thing out." I was like, I'm just not built for this at all. So yeah, those are the end of my propping days. But it was, I had to take the decision out of anyone else's hands, because I was like, yeah, I'm not built for this.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So tell me about your debut for Sarries then, man.
Yeah, my first ever Premiership game. So it came just before the playoffs. So, you know, fortunately back in those days when we'd dominate the league a little bit easier, we'd get to this point at the end of the season where we'd have a points buffer. We'd know we'd have a home semi. So like, right, we can chuck the kids out. And so I was fortunately I got given the opportunity to play off the bench against Worcester, and they had like their full strength team, which was not a bad team. I remember subbing on with 15 minutes to go, being so nervous, and the moment for me was I was out for a line out and I saw Ben Teo at first receiver. And like he was a lion, like hard carrying centre. I looked to like my left, like Billy Vunipola's there. He's a lot smaller than me, and he's not a tackle.
Yeah.
So looked to my right, Tom Whiteley's there. He's even smaller. I was like, this is all me. Yeah. And I swear on my life, I said in my head, I was like, you know what? If you die, you die.
I love it.
Bro, he ran at me. I got my head on the wrong side on purpose because I was like, he's going down. Like, just chucked my body in front of him. It was a good tackle. And honestly,
got him down?
Got him down.
We need to get footage of that.
I've got the video moderator.
Google that footage.
But the thing, it was cool though. They ended up, unfortunately, they won in the last minute, but like we did well. And at the end of the game, like shaking their hands, and he was like, "Oh, good shot, bro." Honestly, I was like, "Oh, that feels sweet." Honestly, that was like the best feeling. So I was like, he's one of the guys. Like he's a baller." And yeah, he like complimented me on a tackle on him. I was like, "Yeah, that's cool."
I like Ben Teo.
He was a beast, bro. So what would you say that was your welcome to the Premier League moment, or rugby?
I think that probably came a long time before. My welcome to like high level rugby came in day one at Sarries in optional week, not even when pre-season had properly started. When Wiggy, he'll remember this, Richard Wigglesworth, he'd coached at Harrow, like he was getting his coaching badges, so he'd come down to Harrow, and like, so I knew him before I came in, and he was like the nicest guy in the world. But then I've gone into Sarries, he's a player now, and I've just got the ball, we're doing like condition games, and I've kind of like stepping or looking to pass, but like not really being decisive. I'm like, "Christie, be fucking decisive." And I was like, "What?" Like this is Coach Wig. He's my only guy here. I don't know anyone except him. And he's like chewed me out. I was like, "Damn, okay." And then like a few months later, we joked about it a few times since, like, "Yeah, sorry, I'm just a competitive bastard." And I was like, "Bro, I didn't know you were like that. I thought you were just this nice guy." So like,
that is so fun. He is, whenever I come across him, he is like so nice. And like, because we went to the semis of the World Cup in Paris. I was sat next to his wife. We were actually fighting over seats. I was this woman with like 3 kids. There's me. I'm not moving. But anyway, that's so bad. At the end, like obviously afterwards, we would go see the players, and bro, he's the nicest guy,
honestly. And like even now, obviously, like he's coaching England and stuff. Like whenever I see him, he's so nice. He always like makes an effort. I always chat to him. But yeah, like that was like eye opening. I was like, damn, okay. So yeah, that was welcome to professional.
So you were in like a Sarries team that had loads of experience at the time when you first came in. You would have had, obviously Jamie's still there, but Owen would have been there. Wiggy, Neil de Kock.
We had Brad. We had Billy, Mako, Kruis.
Kruis would have been there as well. Yeah, I hear he's skinny now.
He is. He said his goal was to be described as wiry, and he's wiry now. So he's lost something like 25 kilos or 30 kilos, and he wasn't like fat before. So
I don't. What should I say? I will anyway. So
why not?
That time when you guys, there was a salary cap scandal.
I can't remember.
I was in New York on just a random out. I
feel like this is my about to go left.
So I was. This was after the World Cup? Yeah, I think it was after the World Cup. The Japan World Cup.
Yeah.
We were in this club, maybe like Mr. Chow's or something. And all of a sudden I get this like paw on my shoulder. I'm like, what? And it's George. And he's there, pissed, like could barely stand. And he gets he's got a wad of cash on him. And then there's a photo of both of us, and he's just like got this camera.
Well, you know he's a businessman.
I literally feel like maybe
There's no link to a salary cap. Don't do that.
Couple weeks after.
I'm not involved in this.
Sorry, I shouldn't say that, but yeah, that was a funny moment.
Bro, he's a legend, man. Kruis is such a legend. But yeah, bro, that team was. I've said this to the young guys now, because like, you know, obviously everyone's always wanting to play, and certainly when guys have, say, been on the bench and not got on the pitch for like games in maybe the Prem Cup when they're young and they're inexperienced, or they've been near and haven't quite got it, I'll say something like, look, in my first year I was 12th choice. And like at best, I was 12th choice. Like, I'm never playing a game, you know. Like, we had to even train at that point with the first team. You were like doing well, you know. I'd try and swap into sessions if I was lucky, but because I had like Benno, Nick Ezekwe just a year above me, and even they weren't like getting close to the team at that point. Nick started to, and then obviously Ben followed, but at that point they were scrapping to try and, you know, play. And even then we had Skoltberger, we had Mike Rhodes, like we had all sorts. I was nowhere near. And so I say to these guys who like get disappointed that they're not playing Prem games, I'm like, bro, the fact you're training, like, trust me, it could be like a lot worse. You were scrapping those times. I'd sit on the side in unit sessions when we're doing lineouts, and you're not involved, and then, you know, all of a sudden they're like, someone gets hurt, like, oh, you're in. And you've not done anything for weeks. You're like, you have to just come in and know. I remember another kind of welcome to professional rugby moment. The year I joined was just after the Lions. So Maro, Kruis had been on the Lions tour. They come back into pre-season training, and I just got sent into their team. And so like Kruis calling all these like lineouts and stuff. And it's like he was talking Chinese. And I'm with Kruis, who I don't really know, Maro, who I don't really know, and they're operating on this level. Like Jamie's thrown in, they've got Mako there, and I'm like, I just can't fuck up. But it was just moving so quickly. It's like, but I genuinely learned more that session than any session I've ever done before or since, just because you just have to adapt to like not be out of place. And they're giving like all sorts of like high level feedback, and I'm like, I'm just trying to not fuck up. But yeah, man, that like coming through with those guys in the room was incredible. Like the conversations and the level that they performed at, but also just the ability to, we call it flicking the switch. To just go from like everyone's having a laugh to like, right, we're on. You know, that was impressive.
I always think back to during that period of time, watching you guys play, where maybe the first half, the performance is not where maybe you want it to be, and you always knew during that period, second half, you guys are going to come back in a different game, and seeing you guys win all those Prems and European, and hopefully, you know, we'll get back to it. Hopefully we'll get back to it. But I guess going back to that period of time, so maybe touch on the players that helped you massively gain through the next stage, and the challenges of, like I said, your 12th, 13th choice. At that period of time, are you thinking, oh, fuck these guys, man, or do I need to go to another team? Like, where is your head at that age?
Like to answer that second part, you know, so my first contract was 2 years, like, you know, you kind of take your medicine. Then the next one, even like you're sort of taking medicine and still trying to impress where you can. And then obviously salary cap things happen. But I remember, I think it's probably at some point my second contract, maybe going to my third, like talking to Mark McCall and being like, look, like I want to play more. Like I want to be in the frame a bit more. And him saying, you know, look at someone like Jackson Ray, who's a club legend, who's played 300 odd times for the club. He's like, there were times he could have left, but he like trusted the process. He trusted us. Like he stayed with us, and now look what he's managed to achieve with the club. He's like, that could be you if you just trust what we have here. And obviously I'm grateful for those times I did, because like I love being at Sarries. I've loved my time at Sarries, and I have learned so much. And obviously that time has come for me in the sense of I've got a lot of games. And yeah, so I think that, like, in terms of people I looked up to, it was genuinely like everyone. I could run through at least a 15 of guys that I picked up little bits from. Obviously Maro's, you know, like I'm really close with, and with him, like I've picked up as much off the pitch as I have on the pitch. Guys like Faz, you know, small bits of advice, he was always a good person to go to. You know, he's renowned for kind of his intensity and his competitiveness and, you know, small things. I used to be kind of superstitious. I feel like it's almost sometimes, I guess, a sign of immaturity as a rugby player or as a sportsman being really superstitious. Like I used to listen to the same music before every game. I always used to wear like match day underwear and stuff like that. And I spoke to him about it. And I remember him saying like, but what's the point? And being like, well, what do you mean? He's like, well, the more you put things like that in the way, like the more that can stop you performing well. He's like, so what if your headphones don't have charge? Or like, now you can't play well.
Yeah.
He's like, what if you forget your boxes? You can't play well. And kind of then realize, and I remember him again once before a match against Sale. I remember it vividly. We're still in the middle of the pitch. We just talked to the team, about to go in the change room. Him smiling, being like, I'm so tired. And I was like, oh shit. He's like, yeah, it doesn't matter though. I was like, what do you mean? He's like, well, it doesn't mean you can't fucking play well, does it? Yeah. It's like, yeah, so what? I'm tired, but like, I can still play well. I was like, fair enough. Like, let's go then. Like, he was like, I love that, bro. He was like,
crack on.
Yeah, genuinely. That guy is like, he was built different.
Yeah.
Like one of the moments I think I probably had the most like respect for anyone ever in terms of rugby was, obviously we ended up losing, but the Leicester final, he just kicked the points to like draw us, to level us. And I remember him running back, we're all set up for the kickoff, him running back smiling. This is Prem final at Twickenham, sold out crowd. We'd been behind all game, him smiling, being like, let's fucking go. And I was like, what? Like, I'm here like nervous. Like,
squeaky bum time.
I feel like 99% of people think like, I don't want to be the one to fuck up. Whereas he's like, I want to be the one to win it. And I feel like that's that in that moment, I was like, that's the difference. Yeah. Like, and look, we didn't win, but for him to have that kind of mentality of like, I love this. Like, this is what I live for. Because I think it's one of those things, in hindsight, you look back on, you'd be like, those moments are so cool. But to be so in the moment that you're aware in the moment that like, this is what I do this for. You know, he doesn't need to wait for 10 minutes after the game to realize, that was cool. Or a few days, like he's in that moment being like, yeah, like let's fucking
Afo, where are my boots, man? Where are my boots? I need to go. I'm getting goosebumps.
But yeah, bro, that guy was that. Yeah.
Wait, so obviously we don't want to spend too much time talking about other people, but when he said, you know, to you guys that he's leaving, well, how did you and the rest of the guys feel about that?
It was a weird time because it kind of all came out in rumours. I remember like Racing had announced he was going there before it was fully done because like they hadn't paid the money or something. So like they announced it before it was actually official. So it was all kind of an uncomfortable time, and I kind of felt bad for him at the time because, you know, he just had a lot going on. It's just one of those things, like it's life, you know, with him leaving, so did Mako, so did Billy, so did, you know, Sean Maitland retired, Alex Linton retired, like, and the year before we'd lost like Duncan Jackson. Like it's just this the life cycle of an athlete, and so I think in a way it was good that it was a big group of them at once, because you kind of then just have to fully reconsider how you do things. Because if it's just one of them kind of every year, then I suppose in a way it's more people that are used to things being a certain way, whereas with a bunch of them going, then it's like, right, we can do a rebuild. And I think that's a more positive way of like approaching how you attack the future.
And I guess for you, that's a huge opportunity now, right? Because I guess you're part of the leadership team now.
In some respects, like when I actually do play, I like to see myself as being able to be a leader. But I honestly think like we're a good environment. We're in a good place. You know, again, like Maro's been phenomenal, but hasn't changed a lot. I think he's exactly as, you know, you guys know him well, exactly as you'd expect him to be. Just very balanced, and he's just someone that you know you're prepared to follow into anything. And I think that's all you can really ask from a leader. Like, he'd never tell anyone to do something he wouldn't be prepared to do himself. You know, maybe he'll ask Rotty to run a bit quicker than he could run, but yeah, that's kind of where it would end. Like, yeah. So I think he's been brilliant. But in saying that, like Jamie's brilliant. Benel's a great leader. That we got so many. Like we are so lucky, and there's not really anyone that I play with that I don't trust to kind of do the best thing for the team.
And then in terms of now you're a fully fledged Premiership rugby player. Things going well. Did Eddie Jones ever reach out before, or did Steve ever, or was it just I'm Scottish?
No, so there's a weird pathway for me. Like I did Scotland 16s. I then trialled when I went to Harrow. I trialled for Scotland under 18s. Did the full trial in Scotland and stuff. Didn't get in, and that left a bit of a bitter taste in my mouth because I felt like I was good enough at the time, but didn't get in, and that happens, that's fine. And then the next year at under 18s again, I signed my contract for Sarries, and when I signed it, they literally said to me, oh yeah, you'll be playing for England under 18s. And again, at that point I was like, I ain't gonna argue, and I think part of it is, and it's quite hard to articulate, but being half Nigerian, growing up in England, my grandparents being Scottish and stuff, I'd never felt a massive connection to Nigeria. Is the place I felt the most connection to. So in terms of at that point, I was like, I'm at Sarries. If that's what they want me to do, I'll do it. And then again under 20s, I ended up getting picked for England under 20s in my second year, and then that was it. I was just trying to play. And once I'd kind of broken into the Sarries team, Gregor was on the phone, and I was like, 100%. The minute he spoke to me, I just felt like I really identified with what he was talking about. I felt like I could see myself fitting in there, having seen how Scotland were developing at the time. I felt like it was the right place for me. My mum was always so much keener on me to play for Scotland. Genuinely, she'd talk to, because Kelly Brown was my academy coach. Okay. She'd always talk to him at any opportunity about I want to play for Scotland. Even when I was playing for England under 20s, there's probably a message somewhere being I'm so proud of you, but I'd rather it was for Scotland. Really? Genuinely. So I was like, wow. You know what? If I'm making mum happy, then I'm happy. But yeah, honestly, the minute I spoke to Gregor, because obviously I'd never spoken to him before. When I first spoke to him and he was talking about potentially bringing me into camp, everything, the way he kind of analysed my game, I felt like he had it spot on, where he sort of saw me developing as a player. Even now, the amount that they check in on me when I'm injured and stuff. When I was injured for the World Cup, and I think it was between maybe just after we had played South Africa, both him and Steve Tandy, the defence coach, messaged me within the days after. Yeah. And I'm like, you guys are at a World Cup. And you're messaging me being like, oh, how's everything going? You progressing well? You feeling okay? I'm like, for you guys to be in France doing what you're doing, thinking about me, that means a lot. So
yeah, but you can make me cry right now.
Yeah, they're like that. They're just good people, and that really that matters to me. Really matters to me.
So what was the transition like getting into the Scottish team now? How different is it from playing at Saracens, and what were the nerves like? How did you manage everything?
I think Sarries preps you quite well for those environments, because as we talked about, coming through Sarries, when I came through, the level, the intensity that you've seen, that you've been a part of, going to international camps, always going to be a step up in a sense, and obviously they do things differently to how we do it then, but I was ready for intensity. I knew that was coming, and I wasn't afraid of that. Obviously it's a different environment, it's completely different people. Sean Maitland came, which helped actually. When I first went in, he was still at Sarries, and that helped, because you just have a guy there with you. You have a friend basically. But no, man, it wasn't too difficult. They're very welcoming. The first thing they say to you is we just want you to be yourself. And again, that is so helpful. Knowing that you're just going to be embraced in an environment, regardless of who you are, as long as you're not a dickhead. Is great.
Do you know the anthem?
Yeah.
Let's hear it.
I'm not singing it right now. Watch me sing it on Saturday.
But you know what?
It's good though.
I'm a big fan of the Scottish.
It's the best anthem, like hands down. It's the best anthem. It is the best anthem. At Murrayfield, it's definitely the best anthem.
Definitely at Murrayfield, it would be. But I really like the French national anthem as well. But,
yeah.
Oh, flower of soul. When that starts going and the bagpipes are going as well.
That's what bro, that's the thing.
I want to start a campaign for like Jerusalem to be England's national anthem because actually, I said it because like God Save the King is just so
it's dry. It is dry.
Yeah,
it is dry. Honestly, watching Maro sing because he sings it so enthusiastically. But I'm like, fair play, because I don't really know how you sing that enthusiastically.
I will say when I'm in Twickenham and you know where there's a big test about to happen.
Oh yeah, you feel it, bro.
I bell it out with him.
Yeah.
I feel like if you're anywhere and 70,000 people are singing anything, though, you can feel it.
Yeah,
but like. Yeah, Flower of Scotland is.
Line goes.
That's what you. I hate that song.
Which AJ?
AJ, yeah. Sweet Caroline goes.
Yeah, everybody. That's the tune, isn't it? Like after or even before,
song,
just gets everyone going. Yeah. A couple pints down.
That's just pints.
Oh yeah,
pints down.
He's one of the no beer,
bro. That whole like culture of like.
Maybe we should talk on that then. Like the rugby culture.
Yeah, that is rugby culture.
Lads. Like what? So
don't get me wrong. Like honestly, it's funny because I love being at socials and I love being with the boys and. Rugby has such a bad image because of you uni rugby players
filthy
that do all that disgusting stuff. The number of times that like I'll be out and like someone talks to me, I'm like, oh yeah, I play rugby, and they're like, oh, like I'm not involved in that nonsense.
Yeah,
but yeah, the whole like lads get naked, drink beer, like nah.
So you're saying initiation? That's not really a thing at Sarries?
No.
Oh, fair.
No, not really. No, like, and honestly, I think
sing a song or like
there's nothing. Like nothing. Yeah, I
Have you been sworn to secrecy?
No. Like I think my year group is probably the last to have an initiation.
Okay.
And not the like go out of hand. It just wasn't really a thing, and they kind of made it a thing. But it's just like initiations are fine, and like I did them at loan clubs, and I feel like that's probably why, because most boys go on loan clubs and you'll do one at some point. But I think in like the professional game, you can't do like, not that you want to, but you can't do the kind of stuff that like those uni guys are doing, like running around like in public naked. What, like Maro's got 300k followers on Instagram. Like, can you imagine? So yeah, bro. Like you'll be recognized, and even beyond that, it's like if that gets back to you or to the club that like boys, no, it's actual issues there. So
right, okay. So because I know like there's so many stories of like old school rugby players. Maybe now that the game's become more and more professional, that's kind of like gotten out of the game. But you know, you got like Adam Powell and the old what's it called? He was driving a buggy down the motorway or something. But fair.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. Like those things are funny, and like also we go on trips and we do socials, and like you know, certain things happen. But like it's not through like looking for it. Things like we drink, and things, whenever anyone drinks, things can get out of hand. But like it's not through looking for certain things to happen or making things happen.
I guess you guys at Sarries have your famous trips, right? Trips away.
Trips.
Imagine some stuff goes down there, right?
Yeah, well, the last one, no, not the last one. I think the second last one was in the news because of Billy. Yeah. Billy being
tasered.
Bro, that it might be a bad taste, but that was so funny. That was good. Nah, because so it was just he hadn't drunk for like 2 years, and then was like, yeah, you know what, I'm drinking this trip, and genuinely I saw him throughout the day, and like he'd paced himself so well, and the boys had just played Bath the night before, so for the most part I'd had 2 hours sleep tops because we were flying early, and so like I think by the time it hit like midnight, guys had been up for like 48 hours, 25, like guys been up a long time, and so you know like Billy was like last man standing with I think Marco Riccioni. Obviously what happened, ended up getting tasered, getting arrested. And I saw Mako in the morning. I put a message on the group and Mako's like, text me saying, you want to go for breakfast? So go down. He's like, how was last night? I said, yeah, fine. He's like, oh, what did you get to? I said, oh, nothing really. Came home with Sean. What about you? He's like, oh yeah, I was at home early and you know, Billy got arrested. And I was like, yeah, wait, what? And he's like, yeah, Bill got arrested. I was like, what do you mean? He's like, he's right now, he's in jail. I was like, bruv, what?
Bro, Mako just tired of his.
Bro, he did, bro. Mako's like, yeah, I'm gonna go see. He was in hospital. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna go see him. He's in hospital now. I was like, damn. I was like, fuck, I'll come. So we ate our breakfasts, got an Uber, and like went into this Spanish hospital. I tried to speak a bit of Spanglish, and they like pointed us around the corner. So I walk around this corner with Mac, and we like just come. We see this like bed through a few doors. Billy's in it, like he's like that, like over the bed's like way too small for him. And me and Mac are like, like, but like I'm reaching to get my phone, and then like 2 police officers stand up, and they're like, no. And we're like,
were you chained to the bed?
Yeah, we're like, oh shit, like
this is serious.
Yeah,
serious.
so I was like, like put my phone down, and they're like, yeah, we're like, oh, can we like grab him? And they're like, no. We're like, well, can we wake him up? They're like, no. And he was just sleeping like a baby, like he didn't know what was. Yeah, and then they said like, oh, he'll, you know, he just has to kind of go to court, and he just had to like pay a fine, and that was it. And honestly, the thing with that was, because we're in Mallorca, how often do people go to Mallorca and get too drunk? All the time. But how often do like 6'4", 130 kilo people go to Mallorca and get rich and take their top off? And like, honestly, all it was seeing the biggest person anyone's ever seen really drunk and not knowing what to do.
Yeah.
So that was it. Like, he didn't do anything actually wrong. Yeah. Like, he was just being a bit obnoxious and drunk, and they didn't know how to handle it. But yeah, that was funny.
Boy, I hear it, bro.
Yeah, not funny for his wife, but it was funny for me.
Yeah. Oh, jeez. So, okay, so now Sarries, Scotland, everything going hunky-dory, but unfortunately, bro, you have a bit of a sad history of injuries now.
Yeah, it is a weird one, because like, I think everyone as a professional sportsman, the worst label you can get is injury prone. Like, everyone's kind of scared of that, and because no one can choose whether they are or not. And I'm like, almost at this point, like scared of getting that label, because all my injuries have been impact injuries. So they've not been like, oh, I'm just running, my hammy goes, or like my calf blows up, or like, it's just been, I broke my arm from smashing my arm in someone, and that just wouldn't fix. I had 3 operations on that, and then broke it again tackling someone, and it was kind of a bit of a freak accident. And then this one again was like my ankle, fracture dislocation, running, guy tackles me from behind, drops on it as I'm lifting up, and it just snaps in the floor kind of thing. And it's just, I guess the way it's worked out has been really difficult, because it's been injury, return, like kind of start getting a bit of momentum, get injured, return, start getting a bit of momentum, and then like this time, yeah, again, injured again, and only God knows how the return's going to look. But yeah, I think mentally it's so draining. I've approached each injury differently, because I just, you know, my dad taught me with things like this when I was younger. He just said, like, you just got to feel how you feel. There's no point in trying to hide it or like shield it. If you feel upset, if you feel angry, if you feel a certain type of way, like, allow yourself to experience those emotions, because, you know,
Your dad said this.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Nigeria.
Yeah,
Nigerian man.
Cool Nigerian.
No, bro, he's, yeah.
Like you said, his dad was cool about the surname.
He was still, I know, was stuck on that. That was like half an hour ago.
Could be like, bro.
I just know white.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like, he told me, like, look, just feel how you got to feel, and it's the truth, because, you know, the first time I got injured, I wanted to be so connected to the team. Like, I was in every meeting, I was talking, I was watching every training session. I was like trying to like live through every moment with the team. This one, I've been kind of the complete opposite, to be honest. I've just wanted to like take a step back, take my time with things, kind of get in the club, do my rehab, do my gym, leave. Like, I've just wanted to like have this time for myself, because I was just like, you know what, let me actually just miss playing. Like, I want to, when I play again, I want to be so excited to play, which I am now. Like, I wanted to really miss playing the game because I think I've just started to realize like how, you know, nothing's given. Everyone's like, people will say to you to try and comfort you like, oh yeah, well this will be you done with injuries now. Not necessarily, you know, like I hope it is, but like you can't promise that. And so my thing is now like, let me try and enjoy every aspect of my life, because I think as a sportsman, sport is so often that source of energy and that source of joy and something you use to be ambitious about and strive for. But like when that gets taken away from you, you need something else. And so I think when I was first injured, I was still using rugby as that thing to kind of drive me without actually having it. Whereas now I know like I'll give everything to my rehab, I'll give everything to gym, but also I'm enjoying, you know, being at home and doing other things and like having time to myself and time with my missus and time with my family and all of that. So,
and talk about that support group around you, because obviously you mentioned just then, you know, you got your missus. Very proud of you on that.
Appreciate it.
Like say he's following my footsteps.
Yeah,
because you met his missus in America as I did.
Well, he has a hop in his step, like, twinkle.
We've been together for 8 months. That's
he's smart this time, bro. Even the way the drip's sitting on you today is different.
Bro, she dripped me out today, man. She
Fashion over.
Fashion over, bro. That's shout out Fashion over. Shout out my girlfriend, man.
She's sponsorship with that as well, actually.
Bro, she's always she plugs me, man. I don't have to pay for stuff anymore. It's great. No, she honestly, like, it's crazy because when we met, I had a broken arm, and in that time, so we had pre-season and season started. She came back to the UK, moved back to the UK. She managed to actually be there live for one game I played. Then there was Exeter at home. Then the next week was Quins away, and got injured. And so literally,
mad.
Like she had just moved in to live with me, and yeah, it was just crazy because, you know, I remember that day. Well, it was Maro's 30th. I missed out on. I had the biggest FOMO ever. I was sat in the hospital in Paddington.
Hi.
Cheers, bro. I appreciate it, bro. I couldn't help himself.
Sorry, bro.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah. But no, like, and she was on a job. So the reason she wasn't there, she was working. And she was like halfway through getting her hair done, and she was following it on like BBC Sport or whatever, and just saw like Onyeama-Christie's gone off with what looks to be a terrible injury or something, and she's like blowing up my phone. Obviously at first I didn't have my phone, and then I'm on like heavy on gas and air, and I see my phone got like however many missed calls, so I call her. She's like, oh my God, are you okay? And I was like, you all right? Like, bro, I'm cooked. Like, I'm so high this one. I'm like, yeah, you're right. She's like, what? I'm like, you good? And she's like, are you okay? And I was like, talk to my physio and just go. And so she ended up coming to see me in hospital. And I said to her that night, after I'd had like a few like little procedures and stuff, I said to her that night, like, look, you're about to see like the worst of me, because like this is going to be a dark like period, especially off the back of what happened over the last couple seasons. But like she was incredible, and like I don't really know how to done it without her. I think with the arm, things were tough, but you can still walk. I couldn't walk at that time. I could hardly even get on crutches. Like to move, I was just in pain. I was drugged up the whole time, just on painkillers. Like I'd wake up, take painkillers, get knocked back out, wake up, take painkillers, get knocked back out. And she was there, like, you know, cooking for me, helping me wash, like, and this is a few months into our relationship. So I was like, yeah, that accelerated everything. But also with that, like, you know, my family have always been incredible. And honestly, I think that day, like looking back on, is quite emotional, because obviously you said it was Maro's birthday, but him and Rotti, they both came to the hospital that day to come see me. Your parents asked to come see me. Like, you know, physio said the whole team basically like were asking if they could come see me, and they had to be like, no, like he's in hospital. But, you know, to know, I think you always think you've got your boys, you always think you've got like support and like, you know, if anything happened, but like to know that like everyone was that like really wanted to like be there for me in that moment, like was special. And you know, I've watched the clip back where I should or shouldn't have so many times, and seeing people's, I know it's a gruesome injury, but seeing everyone's like immediate reactions at the time, and like how much it affected them. I could see in the game, like, they're affected. Everyone said after the game, including our coaches, like, yeah, boys are obviously affected. Like, we kind of write that game off because of what happened. Yeah, like, it is nice, as much as shit's been injured, it's nice to know how much people genuinely do care. You know, in the weeks after, the amount of boys that came to my flat just to, like, check in and bring me stuff and just be there. Like, yeah, those times would have been so much harder without everyone's support.
You know what? That's a testament to, you know, you got good people around you, good club, etc. But it's also a testament to you, bro. Like, obviously, you're someone that people care about. Yeah, you're
back in the chair.
you know, you're someone people care about, and obviously, you have a big impact on the people around you.
Yeah, I do. Yeah. No, like, I think so. I think it's just it's a weird one, really, because, like, you guys know me. Like, I take the piss and. Yeah, but those moments, like, they are special, and I can't, underplay how much it meant to me over, it was really some of the toughest days, weeks of my life, like, and honestly, the day it happened was crazy, because 1 second you're thinking you're about to score against Quins, and then the next minute you're getting your foot put back into place, and honestly, I look back at it, and what was mad was, I think the ambulance journey, because it was from Twickenham to Paddington, it took like half an hour, and I was just on gas and air and, like, on my phone, and the way my phone was blowing up, and, like, at that point you don't really know what's happened to you. Like, I knew I'd disked or whatever, but you don't know how bad it is. I'd never had an experience like that before, and your brain's telling you everything. And I'm seeing, like, tweets and stuff saying, like, oh, Andy Christie just gone off with, like, a horrific injury, might never play again, and stuff like that. And I was like, what? Honestly, but I'm there and I'm like, I need to think about what I'm gonna do. I was like, apparently my career's done. So, like, but I was there like, I don't know what I'm doing. Yeah. Honestly, I was like, there was like kind of that layer of it, and I'm getting texts from people I never really talk to, or like talk to kind of once every 6 months, and they're like, oh, just checking, is everything okay? Like, oh my God, I just saw the injury, that looked horrific. And, like, yeah, I appreciate, like, the care, but I'm, like I said, I'm on gas and air, like, I'm not thinking straight, and I'm like, why has my old maths teacher just texted me? I didn't even know he had my number, or like he sent me a message on Facebook, or like that guy I went to school with 10 years ago just texted me checking in. Like, these are people I don't talk to, and they're messaging me now, and I was like, this must be really bad, and I remember talking to my mum after it happened, and not the same day, but a few days after, when I'd kind of not recovered, but I was thinking a bit straight to her, saying, like, yeah, watching that on TV was traumatizing. For my mum, she said, like, seeing my boy's foot the wrong way, hearing you screaming through the ref mic, like, she was like, she said she threw up and thought she was going to faint. I was like, it's a bit dramatic, but yeah, I honestly, I felt like bad for her, and that's why I said, like, my grandma and my auntie, like, they don't really they've watched a few games and stuff, but yeah, thank God they didn't watch that one.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah, my grandma's 95. I'm not sure she could have handled all that.
That is why.
Yeah.
What's going on?
It get me, like. Yeah.
Well, for me, I just love just the bounce back, the positive energy that you're kind of giving it. And you seem upbeat.
I'm always like,
you're smiling through it all.
Yeah, like I said, I've got a lot of reasons to smile.
Bro. Yeah. So what kind of advice for, I guess, kids that maybe are going through the same situation, had a few injuries, how should they deal with it?
I'd give people the same advice that my dad gave me, and honestly, I have given that advice, which is kind of crazy. I had a talk with a kid through one of our coaches, knows him or knows someone who knows him, and he did a similar injury, and so I FaceTimed him. I got his number and FaceTimed him, and he was like struggling. He's like 16 and wants to be a rugby player. And I just said to him, like, look, I said to him, look, when I was your age, I was on the bench as a prop playing both sides for Saracens Academy. So, like, a lot of things change between now and then, where I am now and where I was then. But also, like, yeah, you just have to allow yourself, like, give yourself the freedom to feel whatever emotion comes to you. Like obviously, like I'm not saying if you feel angry, go around like punching things, but like if you're angry, you have every right to be angry. You know, you have every right to feel like this isn't fair. You have every right to be upset. You have every right to cry. Like all those things are completely normal because ultimately, what is it? It's really painful, and it is an emotional and tough time. Like that's what I felt for the last few months, and yeah, like I've tried to make the best of it, and you know, I've been away to Kenya in that time, and I've done fun things. But like the bottom line is, would I, as much as I've loved those things, I'd much rather be playing. You know, I think the Six Nations even now it's difficult watching it because I know how incredible it is to be involved in that. Same way as watching Sarries play big games, I know how incredible it is to be involved in that. So yeah, like allow yourself to just feel whatever comes to you naturally and just navigate through those, and you'll get out of it. You'll get through the other side.
Amen to that, bro.
Yeah, bro. So look, you touched on the Six Nations. We'll quickly touch on it because I kind of feel like talking about rugby is the most boring part of the interview. We'll do it anyway. Obviously, Calcutta Cup. You have been a part of a team that's won the Calcutta Cup. You know, as well. You've probably been in the Six Nations the last 2 years, right? Last 3 years?
I made my debut 3 years ago.
3 years ago, right? So you've been a part of you don't know what it's like not to lose the Calcutta Cup.
yeah.
Which not a lot of Scottish players can say.
Yeah,
Well, I played in 1-1-1, so if that's the only time I ever play against England, then hey.
There you go. How do you see this weekend going?
I think the last game, so England's last game and Scotland's last game, both went as badly for Scotland as possible. In the sense that obviously we lost to Ireland. The manner in which we lost was you know, they outplayed us. And then England got a brilliant win against France at home. So I think ultimately following those games, like England will be full of confidence and playing at home against Scotland and knowing, you know, they've not won in, I think, 5 years. Like it'll be a big point for them to prove. And similarly, we're like Scotland need to bounce back. The Six Nations is such an unforgiving tournament. So Scotland will know, like I've seen it written and it's the truth. Like since I've been in the Six Nations squad with Scotland, or since being in the Scotland squad, like we've made a real effort to be like, look, the England game isn't the be all and end all. Like there's 5 games that ultimately count as much as all the others. And there is a rivalry there, but being England and just being England isn't good enough. But like this year, well, now that we've lost to Ireland, to get anything from this competition, like we do need to beat England. But equally, like England are going to need to beat Scotland because it's no good just, you know, beating France and having that, but then losing the next game. So like both teams are going in, I guess, from a different position, but it matters the same to each of them for kind of their ambitions and what they're trying to prove. So yeah, it's going to be a very interesting game. I think both teams probably, I think obviously Scotland over the last 4 years have definitely stepped up whenever it's come time to play England. So, you know, obviously England are going to need to step up this year and we're going to need to prove that Ireland was a blip and we're kind of getting back on track.
Okay. How does Scotland recreate the performances that you guys have had against England, against South Africa, or against New Zealand, against Ireland, you know?
Well, I think you've got to treat every game as they come, every team as they come. Like, you know, those 3 teams you've named there are all very different. So is England. And like being in the squad and playing against England last year, the week build up to it, we didn't train that well. And like, it didn't feel like, you know, it's so funny, the Six Nations, like what you read in the news and the press versus what you kind of feel. Reading the press, everyone's like, oh, Scotland, England, it's such a big game. But like, it didn't feel like it was any bigger than when we played any other team.
Right.
And so I think there's a big belief aspect. And I do think what we have is a Scotland team that knows that we can beat anyone on our day. But converting from belief to actually doing it is ultimately like that's the few percent that we need to find. We need a South Africa or an Ireland or a New Zealand, like you said. Like we need one of those games to go our way, and ultimately we've got to be better in them. That's like we could kind of sit here and for hours and analyse, but we need to be better. We played Ireland last week and it wasn't a good enough performance. I think last year when we played Ireland, we were brilliant, but ultimately they win by, I think it was 5 points, and one of their converted tries came from an overthrow at a 5 metre line out and they score it. So like it's small moments. Like that's what, from my limited experience, Test rugby does come down to, is small moments, and it's making sure you're on the better side of those small moments in the biggest, toughest games. I think that's ultimately what we need to do as Scotland.
I hear that. Bro, look, on to some fun stuff, man. Arsenal.
Hey, Arsenal.
Obviously, so you're a big Arsenal fan.
Yes, sir.
Afo, I know you're a big Arsenal fan as well. Let's hear you two talk about Arteta.
Yeah, how you feeling about Arsenal?
Do you know what it is? It's so difficult. Well, it's just difficult because when it's up to us, I'm nervous. When it's up to like Liverpool to drop points, I'm nervous. Yeah. But I feel like I'm preferring being on this side of it, like being the chasers than the chased. Because when we were certainly being chased by Man City, it just felt like there was a level of like inevitability. Like they were like a well-oiled machine. You're like, they're not dropping points. You're not going into Man City playing against Wolves and you're like, oh, come on, we need Wolves to do something. And like 10 minutes in, it's 1-0 and you're like, all right, the game's done. But yeah, I don't know. I think we've had everything possible thrown at us already this season. The injuries, the suspensions, all of that.
The refs.
And it is true. But we are. Honestly, you can laugh, but listen, but we're still there or thereabouts. And like for us to still be there, honestly, like you have to give a level of credit to the fact that we are still in the fight. Because, looking at it from a sports, like from a professional sports level, like it does take a lot to do that. And I know football in particular is so results based and trophy based, but like the progression from that COVID Arsenal team, which was just, we managed to get an FA Cup, but like we were like, we were just, bro, it was just silly. Like you're watching foul throws constantly. Do you know what I mean? Like it just like the kind of nonsense I was spending like my days watching, and I was like, this is tough. Versus like now, I go to Arsenal games, I watch Arsenal games, I'm excited to watch them.
Like now, I think for me, my biggest thing with watching Arsenal, in the big games, I generally feel we could win.
Yeah.
Whereas back in the day, it was like, well, hopefully these guys don't perform as well.
Yeah.
Hopefully this player's injured. Or
but that's
suspended.
And
or something like that.
That FA Cup we won, like, was amazing because you just didn't expect it. Yeah. Went into that Man City game, I was like, we'd have to do something special to win. We did. And then that Chelsea final, you're like, yeah, they're a better team. And we were winning from underdog positions. Whereas now, bro, we play against Bayern Munich, Real, Barca. Like I'm like, we could do it. Like if we on our day, like we can definitely beat them and like beat them well.
And we get everyone's best. I think that's what you have to take in consideration with the top teams. You get everyone's best against you, and it's easy to do it.
I love who you said, because honestly, this is why people hate Arsenal fans. I just see Jeremy's face. He's laughing.
No. Do you know what it is as well? Like when you have a period of time where you keep winning, and not that we've got the title, but you keep winning and you're dominant. Bro, I do. Goes to bed the night before a bit earlier. They eat well the night before. That's what happens. They eat well the night before.
No. Do you know what it is?
No, you can't say that. No.
Jeremy, you know that.
No, when you've won something, and you were, for example, if you were City, people play their best against City
and Arsenal, bro.
No, you're not on the same. Even Liverpool, they play harder than they play against Arsenal.
Nah, Joy I will say
on that, bro.
Joy will say
right now,
bro. It's the same.
It's not the same.
Everyone. What I will say is, I feel like, look at the media, like everyone loves to hate Arsenal. Everyone loves it.
You guys do make it easy.
No, but I agree. And I watch Arsenal fans are like, bro, shut up. Right. But like,
we're talking our truth though.
No, but like, this is the thing. But like, I agree. I watch Arsenal games and I feel like we're ref differently. And I'm not trying to say that from a biased perspective, but some of the stuff that happens consistently to Arsenal, I'm like, this can't be.
I'll give you that. The ones that you pointed out to me, the yellow is it the second
Time
yellow
wasting.
cards for time?
Yeah,
kicking
bro.
the
yeah, like,
Bro.
yeah. That I haven't seen that actually implemented against.
bro.
They're not good, bro. Listen, I think this goes back to the days of Arsene Wenger. This goes back to the
Don't
days of
do
Arsene
too much.
Wenger.
Don't do too much because he's just giving you. So don't
bro.
don't
Have
let
you
him
seen-
give you an
have you
inch
seen
and
that Sol
take a
Campbell-
mile.
Have you seen that Sol Campbell video?
What is it a colour thing?
bro.
It's a black thing.
Arsenal used to be a team with black players, yeah.
Don't make this a racing, bro.
The media.
Is it a black thing? Is it a black thing?
Oh, yo, listen, I thought Sol was chatting nonsense. And now I've started to believe him.
But like,
it's a race thing.
don't want.
Love Sol Campbell.
Bro, he's so funny. Man. Now Arsenal, I do think I think we get teams best. I do.
Yeah, of course.
Because ultimately, to get a result against a very good team, you need to bring your best. And I also think historically, teams have looked at us as a team that have cracks in them, and that's another reason they'll bring their best, because they're like, this is a great team on the day, but you can bully them,
rattle them.
which you can't. I think that's what Arteta's done. You can't bully us now, but like, yeah, we get a team's best, but I don't think it's necessarily a race thing. I think that's a crazy take.
I'm not talking about back in the day.
Yeah, no, I know,
I'm saying
but
the race things from like Tottenham. I'm not saying from the clubs. I'm saying from VAR, from the refs. And listen, I'm not trying to bring race into it too much.
No,
But
please don't.
yeah, I'm not trying to take it there too much.
it's gonna end before it starts.
But I just always find those things kind of interesting, and how at that time of Arsene Wenger, how that situation has impacted maybe the way Arsenal's seen within the media. But like I said, let's move on, fam.
Let's move on.
Let's move on.
Nah, look, Andy, bro, this has been great conversation, man.
Yeah.
You know, this
This is
the party after party podcast has enjoyed having you on, man.
Yeah.
So, look, bro, what's in the future now for Andy? How is rehab? When are we going to expect you back on the pitch?
Yeah, that's a great question. Rehab has been going as well as it could. My career's not over, contrary to some belief. No, I'm going well. I'm having another small operation just to try and speed things along and make sure it's kind of all solid. But yeah, I'm just in the lab. I'm just working and hopefully we'll be back over the next few months.
By God's grace, bro.
By God's grace.
Hey, Jez, another one.
Another one in the books, boys and girls.
It's been a pleasure.
Hey, that is the Sports After Party podcast.
That's
Thanks for
it.
tuning in.
Andy, nice one, bro.
Hey, EJ.
I'm a different type of rock star. I got class and I got Henny overflowing up my shot glass.